left all of the code alone, because the README mentioned that there's only 3 lines, so I figured that it would just be one for each key in the dictionary. So I wrote a method called use CSV file that basically just lets you put in the CSV file name and then reads the file. And then as it goes through the line, it compares basically the difficulty at line 0, or like the first character of the list, and then this probably doesn't need to be in there for this, but I guess I just assumed that like maybe there could have been a typo or like something not matching up with the dictionary, but I just reassigned the value of the dictionary. So all of these will get whatever is in E when it lands on E is going to just get replaced with the list from the CSV file. And I did that by just slicing to the end of the line.
Okay.
And then I couldn't come up with a way to test it. I did just like basically the easiest way that I was able to check that I wasn't getting a bunch of different words or like a mix of the words is I just tested each difficulty. So if I do like easy and I have the debugger set to true, once I get through the game, that'll be a huge list of all the easy words. And then if I change it to like hard, and then run it again, we'll do easy again and then do, I'm gonna lose. And you can tell like it's much harder words to guess. But that was pretty much the extensiveness of my testing. I scrolled through just to like check that, you know, there's not small easy words in there, and it doesn't appear that there are.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. It is all looking pretty good. Looks like it does exactly what it needs to do. And you explained how it works overall, but would you like to walk us through the individual functions?
For the rest of their code, I honestly didn't even look at that. I pretty much just replaced the dictionary and let the game play itself. I did like there were a couple things that I looked at that I wasn't familiar with, which I know Noel and I talked about. This I thought was really neat. I did not know that you could grab all of the lowercase letters or uppercase letters or digits using that. Because there's a lot of times that I've either made a dictionary when if I knew that something like this existed, I could have just looped through a string or something instead. But do you want me to try and go through the code? And it's like, sure. I see they have a dictionary for easy, medium, and hard, which appears to be the amount of attempts. And then they initialize this with debug set to false, which it looks like they implemented so that if we set it to true, then we'll be able to see the word. And they use self.mode to set mode, which not sure where they have set mode down here. I think it's so set mode gives mode an empty string, and then while mode is not E, M, or H, it's going to ask for an input and then give you the string asking you to basically update mode and then return mode. And they have self.word is equal to random choices, which looks like it'll just select a random choices from this self.words, self.mode, which will be E, M, or H. So that's their dictionary up here. And we've got self.guesses equals self.tries, self.mode. Where do they have self.tries? Self.tries was the amount of tries up here. Self.user word. This was something I was also curious about. I'm not sure how you enter that period or that dot character, but I thought that was kind of neat for the input. But they're basically taking the list of the word and then multiplying it by that character so that it appears as just a bunch of that character. I guess for it to probably get updated. Then they initialize self.guess to keep track of the letters. This is the conditional for if the if debug is set to true, and then that's where it's going to tell you the word by giving you self.word. Let's see. User messages, these are print statements. So I guess self.guesses will probably start off as an empty and then fill up. Yes, word is self.joined user word, which looks like a method. So it's going to join self.user word. Yeah, this does look a lot harder if you're going through it all. I guess in the README, it kind of said that you don't need to touch all of the code, or you just need to implement. And when I was looking at it, I figured if they're already selecting a random list from this dictionary, then that's probably the only part of the code that you need to touch.
But I think you're doing a great job walking through and explaining it and understanding through the context that you do know how each portion of the code is operating.
I appreciate that. I feel like I'm starting to get mixed up now.
Line 28 is what you're looking for, Phil.
28.
Join user word would be that, right?
Oh yeah. So that's the characters of like what they haven't guessed, or like the dashes or dots. Then it calls play turn when initialized. So play turn is going to take a letter variable and then call self.ask for letter, just another method. Which is going to initialize letter as an empty string, and then while letter not in, so while this is just lowercase letters like I was talking about earlier, that's the lowercase alphabet. It's going to ask for an input and then give a letter, and they called lower to make sure that it's going to match that string. And then when it finally does, then you can return the letter.
Right on.
Trying to figure out where I was at now. Return update user word. And so update user word's going to take a letter. I was kind of confused why they used enumerate here, because it looks like they could have just done a regular for loop, since they're not actually using the value argument or anything, but they're going to check if the letter in the word is equal to the letter that they guessed. I think, let me check. Self.letter for self.word. Okay, self.word is the answer word. So they're iterating through the answer word to see if the letter they guessed is equal to a letter in there. And then they're updating the user word, which was those blank dots, to display that letter. then they call self dot lose a turn, or so this is checking if the letter is not in the answer word and the letter is not in self.guess. So I guess that is there to not penalize you from guessing an incorrect letter more than once. And then they're decreasing your amount of guesses.
Mhm.
And self.add to guessed letter is, let's see, where is that? That's gonna, so if the letter is not, now I'm trying to remember what self.guessed was. Okay, keeping track of the letters, it's not guessed. I guess that's like another check that they haven't already guessed the wrong, that letter wrong before. Because if they have, then it will be in there, and then this won't be allowed to append it again. So like if they guessed A incorrectly the first time and then tried to guess it again, this just won't run. Buggings, they've got some print statements to show previous guesses, which is just going to join the guessed letter list. And guessed letter. So it's going to let them know what letter they guessed. And the word is, it's going to display basically all the dots and any correct letters that they've joined by calling that method again, or then you have self.guesses. That's just going to tell them how many tries they have left. Then they've got some conditionals here. If self.one, self.word is equal to, basically they've guessed the correct word, everything they've guessed is actually equal to the answer word. Else, you did not win the game. Sorry, that's the wrong method. We got one from a conditional, I thought. Sorry, I'm trying to find it again, but
Sure, no problem. One thing that could help when navigating code and trying to dissect and understand it is if you're searching for where something is defined, you could just highlight the function that you're seeing is being called and paste
see where it's highlighted.
Mhm.
Okay. So self.endgame.
Could you do side by side screen as well? Just with the same thing?
What, like that essentially?
Yeah, very good call out, Ken. That's a very good way of staying in track as well.
Move the zoom stuff down a little bit. There we go. So endgame, if one is going to check if the one method is, oh wait, it's not right.
I believe one is just going to be passing either a true or false.
Okay. Okay. So if it's true, it's going to give you this print message saying that you won, and if not, it's going to just give you this other print and then return. Self.lost. Let's see. Is when the user is out of guesses and has not guessed the word. So return not self.1 and self.guesses less than 0. Is that gonna actually set that to false or?
Yeah, that's some really strange. That's some really strange syntax right there. I'm not sure why it's written like that. I think it's the code definitely isn't perfect. Like you pointed out earlier, it was strange that they were using enumerate when they weren't even using that L parameter.
Right. But I guess I'll trust their. We'll lose when the user is out of guesses and has not guessed the word. That part makes sense to me, I guess. I guess self.1 checks that the word is equal. So if you do not self.1, then it's just another way to. That would be true if they haven't guessed it.
Exactly.
Let's see. Self.end game we already looked at. Else self.play turn, which I believe we looked at play turn earlier too, but let's check again. Yeah, so play turn is going to ask them for a letter and then basically just continue the game. We did look at this earlier.
I
I want to say that we've gone through all the methods now.
Yeah, I would say so. I think
Okay,
pretty well.
awesome.
Great work.
Thank you.
Especially to put you on the spot and go through that. Great work. How's everyone else feeling right now? How's everyone feeling with the code, walking through it, reading it, deciphering it? Do y'all feel the same way about it being a little clunky in some areas?
Their debugs didn't work. I fixed it, but
Right on. You want to walk us through what you fixed?
yeah, it's pretty easy. It was like 2 lines. It was a team effort. I had a lot of help on it. Where are we at here? So in set mode down here, I just added in if mode is equal to true, like you put true into the input, we set debug to true, and the rest of the code was ready to run. They just had nothing to switch it from false to true from when they first initialize it. Up here at the top. And that's the only thing I had to do to get it running. So now if I were to run it, and I put true, it just puts me right back into the game. But now I know the word is shied for this one.
Nice.
Did you put true in when you created the instance? Because it worked in my code and I didn't change anything.
When I created the instance, like,
or yeah, the guessing game class, it should be at like the bottom.
Yeah, it looks like the debug is equals false default value that you can overwrite.
yeah. And Demanda actually brought that up. He's like, you are the coder. You could just put it into debug mode to test it. But I was just looking at the README, and it says
Yeah.
pass true to put the game in debug, but it just didn't work, so I just fixed it. Yeah. But Damon did tell me that though. He's like, you are the coder. You could just throw it in debug mode and everything would work fine. And I was like, you're not wrong.
You don't have to pass it up or change it up there though, because it's the default to like set to false. If you pass true to the instance
down
here, yeah. If you put true there, it will run the debug.
Yeah. And that's pretty much all I did. Did you guys ask if it ran before I did anything? I don't. Like if I just, you said if I did it down here, never mind. We just went over that. Sorry. Okay, never mind. That's it.
Right on. All right, I think Everyone else's answers are probably very similar. Does anyone have any questions about the challenge or even just about the course in general? Nope, y'all feeling good? Awesome. I will cut off the recording here and